So then we finally hear the most tragic thing about Meliodas' life, everything that's come to this, and the biggest curse that he has ever received from probably everyone in this series at all, and one of the most tragic backstories that he has, which just breaks my heart when you hear about it, especially what his fate is between Elizabeth and himself, and just the fact of how he's come to accept this throughout all of this in his life. And boy oh boy, 224 was a fucking emotional chapter. I'm not gonna lie, I got the chest here was fucking grabbing a little bit. I was there like going, this is rough, man. This is really rough for Meliodas, and let's just get into it. And the fact is that, you know, like a demon, like from the demon clan betraying his own, all that, and taking the hand from the goddess clan, and furthermore betraying his own comrades, and the goddess clan uniting with one from the demon clan and saving one of their enemies. This is like one of the greatest sins from both of their gods, who's the one like who actually like governs over like the goddess clan, the supreme deity, and the demon king, Meliodas' own father. And we don't know whether or not that is like, if that's Elizabeth's mother, whether or not that's like anything to do, or is that like the one who reigns supreme over all of it. And the fact of the matter is that both of them teamed up on them just to like sin them and like saying brand them for the rest of their eternities. And like I like the one panel that you see of them like side by side, like standing beside one another and just trying to even like go against these two fucking monoliths of opponents. Like you see the goddess like with the seas beside her, like the demon king as well. Look, the demon king himself, Meliodas' father, just looks like fucking Odin. He just looks like he came with the lightning beside him. He just looks like he came from Ragnarok. That's just pretty much the end of everything. And just seeing the two of these guys like coming apart, and it's like, let's just fucking take care of them. And they weren't even a match. They're like with the tiniest bit of their power and all that, their lives were lost. And like it should have been, but what Liz did, like what Elizabeth did and all that, completely healed Meliodas' body, and she lay dead beside him, and like him just fucking crying his eyes out, and it's just like, why did this happen and all that. And he's just like holding on to her, and he's saying, you know, like after a while and all that, like I've noticed I couldn't age. I wasn't aging at all. I couldn't die. I couldn't do any of this stuff. And like whilst he was going through like the ravished like by the holy war like of Britannia, he met like Elizabeth again, but it was like this savage, like this, like it was Elizabeth, but it was a completely different version of her. And like it was like we were able to get close after a while, and then realize that like she had one of the eyes of the goddess clan, and then she was able to do healing. It's like, I'm certain of this. And then even when she regained all her powers again, she was like, oh my god, it's you again. And you know, like I finally get you reunited. And it's like, we've gotta let you know now that we've been cursed. And it's like, you know, even still and all that, saying like, if I die again, like you someday you'll break this curse of ours. And it's just like, I'm gonna tell you. And it's like, after like she fully awakens, every 3 days she just lays dead. And like seeing Meliodas, just like seeing his like fucking like girlfriend just die again in front of him after all this time. It's like, she even said like, you know, if I regain my memories, and then no matter how much you try like at all, Meliodas, I will die after that, and then I will be reborn, and I will inevitably fall in love with you again and again, and I will lose my life before your eyes. So no matter what Meliodas does, even if he's like, I'm gonna try and avoid you, I'm gonna try and like do anything, it's like, you know, like he can't escape this. He can't escape like one of the most cruelest fates that like was given to him by his own father and the queen of the goddesses, because of like this like one, like it's honestly like definitely like now like what we got to see with Elizabeth and Meliodas is that they take, I guess, a lot of heavy inspiration from like their own interpretation of like Romeo and Juliet. That's kind of what they're going for. It's, you know, like a love that was never meant to be. It's like, you know, no matter what and all that, you can't break like what we are, like what the two families you belong to. That's kind of like what they're like, if anything you could describe their relationship as. It's like, and it's like, no matter what, it's inevitable and all that, I will always fall in love with you. And like this has happened over 3,000 years and over 100 times this happened. And it's like, you know, like, and no matter what and all that, he can't just get ever used to this. And like you're seeing everyone just fucking just like, jeez man, like you're seeing all the sins just holding that, like, you know, but like fucking even Hawk who's normally like coming to release, he's there like crying his eyes out because he didn't know shit about this. Diane's like, I really shouldn't have said anything about this at all, like no matter what. And like, you know, like, and the fact of the matter is, it's like, you know, no matter what, you know, like we break this curse and all that, and it's like, you know, and it's like, well, what will happen if the curse is broken? What will happen to you and Elizabeth then? And it's just like, our eternal life and reincarnation will end, and that is the goal of my journey. Like, Meliodas' entire goal is to end the cycle, like, for once and for all, and that's why, like, Zeldris is so important to this, and this is why it's going to reactivate it as well, because he has borrowed the powers of his father, and that was able to reactivate this, and no matter what happens, it's like, you two of you and all that will die eventually. So it's either you go through the eternal cycle of, like, Meliodas suffering every time, knowing that you can't get close to her, and seeing her like dead before his eyes every time, or do you see, like, or do you end it once and all, but both of your lives are forfeit, and, like, Meliodas is like, I'm gonna end this once and for all. Like, this is generally, like, what my journey has become, and, like, that it adds more to the fact as well now with, like, where the next arc could be setting up for is that I felt like this chapter, not only was it, like, just utterly fantastic to finally hear about this, and, like, Meliodas just trying to act mature for, like, once and all that, and deal with this, is like, and you just felt so bad for him, but you understand as well why the cause of this is now activating with Elizabeth as well, what was happening, why is, like, Meliodas being very cold, like, towards her at some points. It's like, you kind of understand that now, like, where he was coming from, and it's like, even in his own jokey way, it's just like, you know, I want to be with the girl I love again, like that, and, like, I'm pretty sure that was one of the reasons, like, he followed her and all that, saying, like, oh, I want to end this, like, holy war and everything, and then he wanted to follow it, and it's just, like, tried in his own way to be a comedic, and then at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be, like, close to you and all that, because I know what's going to happen. I know it's how it's been. I've gone through this run 3,000 years now. Like, it's happened every time, and every time it fucking breaks my heart. Like, I feel bad for him, but it sets up where it's like, we are going after, like, the 10 Commandments. We are finishing these guys off, and, like, his old foes, and this is what he gets because he fell in love with the goddess. It's like, now as well, it sets up for, if he wants to end his journey, and if he wants to free the curse, which that's where it's going as well, they're going to have to take care of the goddess as well. They're going to have to take care of that deity. So not only is this arc probably going to resolve stuff, it might resolve stuff with the father. Like, whether or not this is just going to take care of the commandments, or whether or not that's going to, since Zeldris has the powers of, like, Meliodas' father, whether or not that will deal with part of it, we'll have to wait and see. Like, I'm genuinely curious about that. But it's like, the fact of the matter is that, like, both of these two, whether or not in agreement, both did the same thing to these two and all that, saying, like, no, this is what you get and all that. You like, angered both of us, you disappointed us and all that. Like, this impurity of, like, whatever this relationship you two had, like, it's just, this is unacceptable to the Demon King and the supreme deity of the goddess. Like, that was pretty nuts, and seeing that the two of them came down themselves to deal with it. They didn't, like, just sit on their thrones. They both fucking came out to the earth itself, and that's seemingly what ended the Holy War, is when these two came out, and it's like, you know what, fuck it, fuck this war, we gotta make these two suffer. And that was just like, it wasn't even a contest, like, it wasn't even a strength of the house. Like, no way were these two, like, beaten to the living, like, dog shit, could not even do anything to that Demon King and the goddess. Like, they couldn't do nothing to him. So I feel like a lot more comfortable now that with actually, like, the last arc, I feel like is gonna resolve stuff with the Goddess clan. I feel like they are still, like, a clan that we still don't know so much about. We need to see more of them. And then as well, like, whether or not the Demon King is still alive in the last arc, or whether or not, like, this is going to resolve stuff with him, we'll have to wait and see. But these two entities, like, I'm very curious to see, like, what are they going to be doing against these two, because they are fucking just, like, from what we've ever heard about them, they are just unstoppable forces. But I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comment section down below and all that. What do you think about the 7 Deadly Sins chapter? I absolutely loved it. I thought it was, like, just this real tragic love story that they've had, like, between Meliodas and Elizabeth all this time, and none of us knew about it. And the fact that we finally got to see the Demon King and the Goddess kind of, like, leader as well, and just what they did to him. What do you guys think about what they did to, like, Meliodas and Elizabeth? And do you think there's a happy ending that they can get? Do you think in one way they can keep their lives, be together, and but without dying? Like, do you think that's one way they can do it? Like, or do you think it's going to end up in tragedy still and all that? Like, Meliodas, like losing his life as well alongside with Elizabeth and all that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But that's all from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys, though, next time.